I'm gonna do The Merchant of Venice Act 3. I'll try to finish it in one video, but I don't think it's gonna finish in one video. Because if you see the Act 3 comparatively to Act 4 and 5, it's huge, it's humongously large. So I'll try. So, Act 3, Scene 1. Let's talk about Scene 1. Act 3, Scene 1. The scene starts off the setting. Okay, let's talk about the setting. So I'm gonna go through the main points. I will be reading the chapter along with you uh, as we go through. So the setting is Venice. This might come as a one marker. Venice, a street. So on Venice, a street, characters in this scene 1 are the main characters of this scene are Salanio, Salarino, Shylock, and Tube. Okay, so these are the four characters. Salarino, Salarino, and Shylock kind of come at the start of the scene, and Tubal at more over the end. The scene. I'm gonna give you the small summary of the scene, like the part which is in like a very small introduction and how this scene goes. In this scene, the plot begins to develop towards a crisis. The rumors about Antonio's shipwreck and his losses have become more definite, and so does Shylock's thirst for revenge. Shylock, distracted by his betrayal, daughter's betrayal, and taunted by Salanio, makes a powerful speech about common universal humanity. Shylock is simultaneously grieved and elevated, grieved because of his daughter's deceit and elated because of Antonio's loss of ships and his being bound to pay the forfeiture. So this is what in the first there are a few main paragraphs which I will go through, and the rest I'll just brush through. Okay, so this scene starts with Salanio speaking. Now, what news on the Rialto? So Salanio is starts speaking. He asks like about news on Rialto. So he asks something about news on the Rialto, and what news on Rialto? To which Salarino replies that Antonio might have lost the ship. Okay, so Salarino replies that what Antonio might have lost the ship at the Goodwins, at the Narrows is the Goodwins. Uh, oh, Narrow seas, the Goodwins. And Salanio, and he this also he gets to know this by a few people. He gets to know this by gossip. Okay, and there is this something he says that if the gossip report be of an honest woman, so he goes on to say that. Uh, He goes on to say that this is the truth if the gossip was of an honest woman. If the gossip was of an honest woman. To which Salanio speaks. he wishes that um, he wishes that the gossip was a lie. Okay, his gossip was lie, and it was being told. It was being told by a woman who made her neighbors believe that she was crying for her third she was crying for the death of her third husband. That is what is technically written in the book. So this might be a bit confusing. Let me come to this. So B he no one Salanio comes and tells this, and he tells this would all be true if the gossip was of an honest woman. Salanio wishes that the gossip was a lie, and it was being told by a woman who had made her neighbor believe that she wept or she was crying for the death of her third husband by chewing on ginger. So what happens is when you chew on ginger, your eyes kind of get watery, and I that's how she makes the bill. That's technically it in this small extract, and they kind of fight around the Salanio. He extends the conversation, and Salarino is like, okay. Mm-mm. Like after the Salanio goes ahead, and there are a few dialogues in between. I'm gonna just add a squiggly line to show that there's dialogues in between, and then Salanio goes ahead and says, "This is the entry of Shylock." So when Shylock enters, he says, uh, "No, wait, what happened?" Mm. So there's end of those lines. There are in between part. I'm gonna do Shylock. Shylock enters, and he technically asks both of them about Jessica's fleeing. Jessica and who she fled away with. And Salanio tells him that he knows the person who made the wings, who made wings for Jessica to fly away, Jessica to leave. That's what it means. And this person here is actually Lancelot. This person is Lancelot. People get confused here, but it's fine. Moving ahead, wait. Salanio goes ahead and tells that it is the nature of the bird to leave the dam, the bird to leave the nest, as time had come and all that stuff. It was time for it to leave. So they'll it was its complexion for all of them to leave the dam. And then this Shylock goes ahead. Shylock says she's damned for it. Certainly, Salarino says certainly if the devil may be her judge. And this part is important where who Shylock says mine own flesh and blood to rebel. Salarino here says, where's my pen? Yeah, Salarino says that there's much difference between his flesh and blood. So there's comparison that Salarino does, and I'm gonna just write that down. Salarino compares Shylock's and Jessica's flesh as jet and ivory. So jet is like black in color and ivory is in, I'll write that down too. Jet is black in color, ivory is white. And he also compares, along with that, he also compares their blood. And he says here red wine, which is cheap if you didn't know. And then Rhenish wine. Which is one of the costlier ones. So that's how he does the comparison between these two. Okay. Shylock is okay, and after along with that, Salarino asks what's has he heard about Antonio's ships and any losses? And to that, Shylock replies, "Let him see to the bond. Let him see to the bond." He has another bad match, a bankrupt, a prodigal who dares cast show his head on the Rialto, a beggar that was used to comes to smug upon the man to let him look. All that stuff he goes on explaining, and this Salarino says, "Why, if you were to forfeit or if the bond were to expire, what would Shylock do about that? He wouldn't really take the flesh, would he?" To which Shylock gives a reply, which this Shylock's reply is, of course, this common universal humanity, and that this part is important. So Shylock's reply, and he says he will use Antonio's flesh to bait fish, and if it doesn't feed anything else, it will feed his revenge. He will feed his revenge. He goes on to say a few stuff which I'll write down as fast as I can. See, hindered me half a times, disgraced me. Antonio has laughed at Shylock's losses, mocked his gains, at his gains, scorned at his nation, thwarted his bargains, all that stuff. I mean, these are the few important ones. This might be asked in a question, so it is very important. Cooled his friends, and heated his enemies. That means angered his enemies and separated his friends from him. That is what it means. Um, so Here again, this is one part that you have to write, and you have to write Jews and Christians. Jews and Christians are fed with the same food. That's what he says in his what in his dialogue. He says that if both the Jews and Christians are fed with the food, same food, hurt with the same weapon, subjected to the same diseases, and also he says they're warmed and cooled by the same summer and winter. He also goes on to say, if a Christian does a wrong to a Jew, what is his what would be what will he do? He will take revenge, right? So by Christian example, even he will say, so if they represent, this is what Shylock says about Jews. If Jews represent Christians in every other field, he will follow the same example. He will follow and take his revenge. That's what he says. You can tell it in your own words, this part, but here's what. Let me read the extract out for you guys. Salarino asks, why I'm sure if he forfeits, thou will not take his flesh. What's that good for? Shylock answers with, to bait fish withal. If it will feed nothing else, it will feed my revenge. He had disgraced me, hindered me 500,000, laughed at my losses, mocked at my gains, scorned my nation, brought in my bargains, cooled my friends, heated mine enemies. And what's his reason? I'm a Jew. Has not a Jew eyes? Had not a Jew hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affection, passion? Fed with the same food, hurt with the same weapon, subjected to the same disease, healed by the same means, warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer as a Christian is. If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge? If we are like you in the rest, we will resemble you in that. If a Jew wrongs a Christian, what is his humility? Revenge. If a Christian wrongs a Jew, what should his sufferance be? By Christian example, why revenge? The villainy you teach me, I will execute it, and it shall go hard, but I will better the instructions. And at this point, a servant enters, which is he takes off. Servant enters, and he says that Antonio wishes for Salarino and Salanio to be in this thing, and therefore, and these two, both of them, they leave, and this is where Tubal enters after a few minutes. So I'll write it down in white. Salarino and Salanio leave, and Tubal enters here. And from now onwards, it's just Shylock and Tubal is a friend. He plays with him. They are close friends, so he plays around with Shylock. He tells him one good news, one bad news, one good news, and that's what happens here. Shylock says, how now, Tubal? What news from Genoa? Have thou found my daughter? I often came where I heard her, but I could not find her. Shylock then says, "A diamond gone, 2,000 words, 2,000 ducats worth in Frankfurt." Shylock, he has lost a diamond. Okay, this might come as a small, 2,000 might as be ducats. It might be ours, and this one was from Frankfurt. Excuse me. Uh, this kind of shows this scene exactly kind of shows how inhuman Shylock is and how his greed is. He goes on to say that he rather have his daughter dead. He rather have his daughter dead. Let me write that down. Dead and jewels in her ears, and the jewels in her ears and the coffin, which kind of shows his inhuman and greedy this. He again says, he also tells one more, which is the thief has left with so much, and these are small important lines of this thing which I'm telling. He tells that the thief is gone with so much, like the thief that is Jessica here, and she's taken so much, she's looted him so much, and so much to find her back. So much is so much expenses to find her back, but nothing in the end. But nothing in the end. He doesn't get back any of it, and he also tells that at this point he has no one. He has no one by his side. Let me read that extract out for you. I mean that part where he says this. Why there? A diamond gone and diamond gone cost me 2,000 ducats in Frankfurt. The curse never fell upon a nation till now. I never felt it till now. 2,000 ducats in that, and other precious jewels. I would my daughter were dead at my foot, and the jewels in her ears. Would she were hers at my foot, and the ducats in her coffin. No news of them? Why? So, and I know not what spent in the search. Why, though loss upon loss, the thief gone with so much, and so much to find the thief, and no satisfaction, no revenge, nor no ill luck stirring, but what lights on my shoulder, no sighs but of my breathing, no tears but of my shedding. This is where he says that he has no one by his side, and he has to cry alone, and he has no shoulder to rest on. That is that part. Tubal here says that other men have ill luck too, and he says that I'll change that. Tubal says other men have ill luck, and he says that his Antonius Argosies are Antonius lost his another ship which is in Tripolis. Yeah, there is one line he says, and then Sherlock is happy for a second, and then again Tubal again other stuff that he says are he tells that Jessica spends 4 score ducats. 4 score ducats, so one score is 20 ducats there. 4 score is 4 into 20, which is 80 ducats. So she spends 80 ducats in one sitting. And then Shylock curses for some time, and then Tubal again says that Jessica traded the turquoise ring for a monkey. Now we do not know why she needs a monkey there, but whatever, this is that. Just remember it. This has come upon, like, it comes in MCQs most of the time. So, and to which Shylock says that he had the ring from Leah. Shylock says he had the ring from Leah, and he would never trade it and all that stuff. Before leaving, Shylock tells Tubal three things. The three things the Shylock says before leaving. Things Shylock says in the end to Tubal. So these are the three things he says. The first thing is to fee him an officer and bespeak him a fortnight before. Uh, so he's already planning out for the bond is going to expire because Antonio is not gonna. The bond has not exactly expired, but Shylock is so confident that he's telling Tubal to fee him an officer and bespeak him a fortnight. So speak with him before a fortnight, like 14 days before. I'm gonna write that down. Fee him an officer. Bespeak him a fortnight before. The second point, the second main thing he says is uh, when Antonio is out of his way, he will make what merchandise he can. And the last point that he says is to meet at the synagogue. Synagogue is prayer of worship for. Wait, let me read that. Is that correct? Synagogue. Okay, yeah, the spelling's wrong. Let me fix that. Synagogue. Synagogue. To meet at the synagogue. Synagogue is a Jewish prayer place. Let me write that down. Jewish prayer place. That's the end of Act 3, Scene 1. It's a bit quite. It's not that long as your actors, so you can just go through this. These are all a few main points. Let me box that in. Where is the lines? Yes. I box it in pink. Okay, let me do that. And we'll close this box. This is Act 3, Scene 1. We're kind of finish over with this. Yeah. That's Act 3. You can go through that. Let's go to the next act, which is, Act 3, Scene 1. The next scene, which is Scene 2. Let me write that down. This is a very it's a very long scene, so we have to get through this fast. Let me read the first summary of. The scene finally brings the casket story to its climax. Bassanio makes the correct choice and wins Portia. Gratiano declares his love for Nerissa and seeks Bassanio's permission for marriage. Lorenzo and Jessica arrive with Celerio to announce the loss of Antonio's ship. Thus, the happy atmosphere of Belmont is disrupted by the news of Antonio's ships having got wrecked and he having been reduced to bankruptcy. Portia suggests to Bassanio to hasten the marriage and leave for Venice with her money to save his friend's life. This scene will do it in the next video because this video is already on its own very long. I am gonna post all of the notes after I finish, or I'll see whatever feels the best. I'll do it. Okay, fine. Bye. Good luck for your exams.